The San Francisco 49ers go out and make a signing, and they go and get two-time Super Bowl champion defensive back Logan Ryan. So, what does this mean for the San Francisco 49ers? What is the impact and what is the expectation for a player like Logan Ryan as he comes over to the 49ers at this current point in time? And I think it boils down to a couple things. I think it all starts in Philadelphia, where on in the opening quarter, Tashawn Gibson had to leave the game multiple times because he was getting nicked up or something was happening. It's unclear, at least from my perspective, on why Gibson was having to leave the game against the Eagles. But what the 49ers did to backfill Gibson as he's on the sideline was put Isaiah Oliver in at safety. So I think that's a pretty strong indication that the San Francisco 49ers want more depth at the safety position. And they go and get a two-time Super Bowl champion, Logan Ryan, who's admittedly a veteran in this league. And when I say veteran, it's a nice way of saying he's been in the league for quite some time. But there's twofold situations with that, right? He brings a ton of experience with them. He has so many snaps under his belt. It's unbelievable in his time in the NFL. He has over 9,000 total snaps, and 5,748 of those came in coverage over his career since 2013. He's a former third round draft pick out of Rutgers. He's 5'11, 195 pounds, runs a 4.56 40, and is 32 years old, will be 33 here pretty soon. So, what I think this says more about anything else is the San Francisco 49ers need depth at the safety spot. Talanoa Hufanga, George Odom, both go to injured reserve. We saw last week the 49ers signed another veteran, Eric Harris. And so the 49ers are kind of trying to backfill as much safety depth as they can. One of the most positive things that Logan Ryan brings to the table is that this dude's a tackling machine. This guy really is a tackling machine. He's out here getting tons and tons of tackles. At one point, from a span, I think, of 2020 to 2022, Logan Ryan was top 5 in tackles in the league. So that was on the later end of his career, up to date. So Logan, I'm not expecting Logan to come in. I guess let's talk about some expectations. I'm not expecting Logan to come in and get a ton of snaps, especially right off the bat. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers just signed Eric Harris, and when they had a safety issue, they went to their nickel corner. So I'm not necessarily expecting Logan to come in right away and be a guy that contributes heavily to the 49ers, but the 49ers need depth. And heading into this stretch run, obviously health is a huge key and a huge determination of success, especially as we've seen for the San Francisco 49ers. So going out and getting a guy that, is definitely a little bit long in the tooth, as they say, but he has so much experience that I don't think you got to teach him anything. He's going to be ready to go pretty soon, I would imagine. Obviously, he's going to have to learn Steve Wilkes' system as fast as he can. Thankfully, defensive schemes are a lot less complex than offensive schemes, so it's something that he should be able to pick up relatively quickly. It'll be interesting. He did not play for any team this year. I believe he had 6 starts in 2022 with the Tampa Bay Bucks. And again, I'm not expecting this guy to come in and light it up, but hey, you never know what can happen. Just last year, Over that span, he had 3 PBUs, 1 interception, and he added a touchdown as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in. But the San Francisco 49ers felt they needed to bolster the depth on the back end, and they go out and do that. So 2 veteran safeties added in the past 2 weeks. What will be the corresponding move that occurs with this one? I would have to imagine Ross Dwelly's going to IR. We heard yesterday from Kyle Shanahan when he met with local media that Ross Dwelly had an issue that is going to have him out a couple weeks. So my assumption would be they shift Dwelly to IR, and they then take that roster spot and they give it to Logan Ryan. The interesting thing, though, with that situation is, do they add a 4th tight end, or are we going to see the rookie out of Oklahoma, Braden Willis, for the first time this year? That is a potential possibility with all this movement. So that is a very interesting dynamic to this, because we know they need safety depth. Now tight end depth comes into question, especially if Ross Dwelly goes to IR for a minimum of 4 weeks. Then your tight end room, because we know Cameron Latu is not coming back. He was put on IR before the season, effectively redshirting him, so he can't come back. So we could be looking at a tight end room of essentially Kittle, Warner, and Braden Willis. And I'll say this, Braden Willis impressed me throughout training camp. He definitely was the best rookie tight end on the field. He's definitely got some potential to him. So the biggest thing is, can he acclimate to the run game and do that stuff? I think as a receiver, he's got what it takes, and he's a willing blocker. So could be an option. But I think that's the main takeaway from kind of this signing, is that there's going to be some additional moves that happen. It's going to be really interesting to see what those moves are. Like I said, is Ross Dwelly going to IR? I would imagine. Do they sign another tight end? We'll find out. But again, we have a bit of a revolving door right now. But as we do know, they go out and sign Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan also has 19 interceptions throughout his career. Um, so, you know, like I said, getting a guy who hasn't played in a while, I'm not going to have great expectations for what he's going to bring to the table, other than the fact that he's a veteran presence in that back end. I mean, listen, who knows? I'm going to say this because look at Tashawn Gibson. I remember being in Minnesota for Vikings 49ers joint practices. This was last year, I believe. Man, time is flying. I remember being in Minnesota, sitting next to Steph Sanchez, uh, and she had binoculars, and we were able to identify that there was a workout going on at these practices. She had the binoculars, she spotted it, and later we found out that was Tashawn Gibson, and he signed. Since then, Tashawn Gibson has been an integral part of this defense. No one thought anything of the Tashawn Gibson signing, and here he is, what, almost 2 years later, and he's a big piece to this defense. So going to be interesting to see what the overall impact is. Not going to say it's going to be a huge impact, not going to say it's no impact. The impact is going to be TBD, but what we do know is that they're bringing a guy with a championship pedigree and plugging him into this defense. So that's a very interesting aspect of it, because I believe the only players with championships on the roster, and this is, just going off the top of my dome, I think Charvarius Ward with the Chiefs. You have Hargrave with the Eagles. And outside of some depth pieces that aren't coming to players that have uh, championship experience. So bringing in a safety, uh, now you have an opportunity to bring a guy that can plug into that room with a rookie starter and just be able to be another sounding board. And if his number is cold, given the opportunity to go in and at minimum just be effective, do your job. You know what I mean? So it'll be very interesting how this ultimately plays out for the San Francisco 49ers, but I like it. If I have to talk about my initial reaction to it, I like it. When it came across, I saw Ian Rappaport tweeted it out. I was like, oh, I was actually in the middle of recording another video, and I was like, oh, the 49ers just signed a safety with so much experience. Um, and you know what? Based on the 49ers track record with safety, I feel all right with this because so far, John Lynch and co haven't let me down in regards to going out getting safeties, whether it's in the draft, whether it's free agency, whether it's depth. So we'll see. We'll see what ultimately comes of this. But I saw another question here. If you guys want to get a couple questions in before we get out, this is just going to be a quick little reaction to this news. I saw a question. Where did it go? There it is. How do I feel about the play of Jair Brown so far? I'm about halfway through the defensive tape, and we are going to do a defensive film breakdown today on the channel. So if you want to see that breakdown, stay tuned. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss when we go live. So far, I'm actually really liking what Jair Brown's doing. He wasn't perfect on the day so far. But I will say one of the things that is standing out to me the most is he flies. He flies to the football. I know he took a kind of a bad angle on that AJ Brown slant, but outside of that, he's flying around. He's showing off his play speed. He's showing off his physicality. And like I said, I'm about halfway through the defensive tape. But so far, from what I've seen from Jair, I'm pretty impressed. And he moves fast and has great closing speed. So that is a really, really good sign for the San Francisco 49ers. But the biggest key to Sean Gibson's got to be healthy. Also, same thing with Jair, man. Those two guys got to. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness. The San Francisco 49ers have released Ty Davis Price. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The San Francisco 49ers, the corresponding move is not putting Dwelly onto IR. The corresponding move is cutting former third round draft pick Ty Davis Price. Wow. I did not see that coming. So that is a third round pick off the roster. Whoa. That is nuts. That wow. Well, that's crazy too because Ty Davis Price did really have a pretty solid training camp. He just never got an opportunity. Wow. Ty, man, that's unfortunate. My guess is that the 49ers believe I would imagine they're low key hoping that he will clear waivers and can potentially revert back to the practice squad. But wow, wasn't expecting that. So we got our corresponding move. It's not Dwelly to IR. The corresponding move is Ty Davis Price has been released. Former third round pick out of LSU gets the axe. That's crazy. Whew. So who's gonna pick him up? Seattle. Seattle feels like they're gonna snatch him up. They have the issues with Walker being injured right now. That definitely feels like a just super natural landing spot for Ty Davis Price. Sheesh. That is crazy. I wasn't expecting that. I'm low key floored by that. I understand it in a sense. 49ers, have 4 running backs, and all that, but sheesh. That's crazy. So it'll be very interesting. Where does he go? Does he clear waivers? Can he come back? Can we get him back on the practice squad? Does a team like Seattle, who's dealing with some injuries at the position of running back, pick him up? Like I said, he showed some promise in training camp. I'm trying to queue up the live so I can get my video out. No, that's crazy. All right. So note, wow. 49ers signed Logan Ryan. Ty Davis Price gets the axe. Obviously, the 49ers have good depth at the position. Man. So that is what, 2 years in for TDP as a former third round draft pick. Again, unfortunate circumstances for third round draft picks, third round running backs. I think is that back to back third round draft pick running backs that have been cut in year 2? I think it might be. So, man, what an absolute shocking development. Wasn't expecting that. All right, that's our news for the day. Very unexpected. San Francisco, and again, if you're just joining the 49ers, we were coming on to talk about Logan Ryan, but the 49ers take and cut Ty Davis Price. All right, so it looks like a 3-headed monster backfield. Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Elijah Mitchell from here on out. We'll see. Dwelly survives again. Yep. So Dwelly's still here. So it'll be very interesting to see how this all works out. Shout out to Travis. Appreciate you, man, becoming a member on YouTube. This is crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. But that's what we got today. That's what we got. Oh boy. What a crazy situation that the San Francisco 49ers wow. Kind of speechless a little bit. Not necessarily because it's like super surprising. It's just again, I think you look at the draft capital put into him, and again, I was a big Rashad White guy. Like Rashad White was one of my biggest draft crushes in that particular draft, and I was praying to the football gods that the 49ers would be able to draft Rashad White. Rashad White went 2 picks ahead of the 49ers to the Tampa Bay Bucks. And right now, Rashad White is one of the best running backs in the NFL, producing at a top 5 clip. And the 49ers on the flip side just release TDP after 7 games and 77 snaps. So, like I said, could be a guy that is going to come back around to the practice squad. I'm not sure anyone claims him outside a team like Seattle Seahawks. See, that seems like a guy who goes to division potentially, but wow. What a development. What a development. Absolutely crazy. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to hop off right now, but I'm going to finish working through the defensive film. We'll do the defensive breakdown in probably about an hour, hour and a half. So keep that locked in. Apologize. I saw some of you guys didn't get post notifications per usual, but I would say put post notifications on. If you're having trouble with them, click them on and off. Just see if you can reset it. But I will be back on to do film breakdown of the 49ers defense performance against the Eagles, and 49ers make some roster moves. Logan Ryan added, Ty Davis Price out. Ouch. All right. Appreciate everyone tapping in. Y'all the best. Smash that like button on your way out. Sub if you haven't already. I'll see you guys about an hour, hour and a half. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see you.